So when you talk about the difference between your soul and your flesh body, you're talking about your false identity or your false self. In this world, you have incarnated over and over again in many different forms of flesh suits, but you only have one soul or one light body, and that is actually who you are. So you are incarnating into a fake persona or a false persona, which is the flesh, which is not who you truly are. At the core, your photon light body or your soul is not consumptive. It doesn't need anything. It only needs to be fed information and knowledge. But your physical body needs food, it needs shelter, it needs all of these things, and it's a very consumptive type of energy. However, it is a false entity, and it's actually not who you actually are. Who you are at your core is your soul, and your entire journey should be finding out exactly who that is. You're not even your age. We get caught up in all of these things about age and how old are you. Your photon light body is extremely old, which means you're probably millions of years old, and you're concerned about this one particular quantum lifespan that you've lived, when in actuality you are the total sum of all the lifetimes you've lived. So you're not even your age. I understand this as a way of certain people who don't have a light body, or they don't have the ability to go beyond this point, as them getting everyone else on the same wavelength in terms of you being anchored to your flesh as well. However, if you are an immortal being who has a light body, and your light body cannot die, is energy that cannot die, then that means that you should be more concerned with your photon light body and your photon light energy and who you are at your core or your soul. Most of this system is set up so that you can stay within this false identity, meaning you go to college, you get your degrees, you become whatever your profession is, and you kind of center your life around that. And it's not to say that you're not in possession of your gifts and you're acting out your gifts that you've been given, or what is the higher portions of you. However, a lot of times what we do within this environment is also based in survival, and it's about maintaining more so of the flesh part of you versus you emanating your soul or your photon light energy and being the actual being that you actually are, versus the false person or the flesh-based person that was placed on your birth certificate at birth and given a social security number. Okay, you are not this false perception of who you think you are. A part of what I teach on this channel is that one day we're going to have a great solar flash, and upon having that solar flash, all of your flesh is going to come undone from your body, and you will no longer be this flesh suit or have a flesh suit. You will be who you truly are. And a lot of us are even giants inside of our bodies, or trapped within these flesh suits in terms of our soul's energy are much larger than our actual bodies. So there's going to come a time when you're going to have to come out of this identity, and you have to be okay with that, which is a large part of why I teach on this channel that you need to clear your light body, as I explained in my diagrams, by confessing the things that you've done wrong to others, so that you can prepare yourself for this day that's going to come, where we're going to come out of these flesh suits and we are going to be our true souls and be who we were truly meant to be. Within this flesh suit, a lot of us are actually giants, okay? We're larger than our bodies. And this brings me to another important point of why sometimes when you are a great light within the world, or you are this powerful soul being, you tend to be larger than life. And when you walk into a room and you have other beings that are not as large, or they don't have such a great light, you and your energy, even though you can't see it, you're walking in this flesh suit and you don't even see how large your energy is, but typically you take up all the space in the room, and people have no choice but to either try to diminish or steal away from that energy to make room for themselves. So they try to belittle, and they try to steal, or they try to take some of that energy for themselves, because there's just no room for them to exist within your light. Now, just because people don't have room to exist is not your place or your purpose to try to give them or make room for people. It is your purpose to be as large of an energy as you are, and for you to maintain your light, which is a whole other video that we can dive into in terms of how to keep energy vampires and people from stealing away your light when you have such a great light. Some people call it jealousy. I just think that people who have great light tend to hold up a mirror, and a lot of people don't like the reflection that they see, because you yourself hold so much of the good energy and so much of those good things that a lot of people, when they see mirrored back to them, they don't possess. So a lot of times when you walk into a room and there's other people who don't possess the things that you do, they tend to need to take away some of what you are in order for them to even exist or breathe. This part of the journey, or this last part of the journey, is learning who you are, or coming to grips with your soul's energy and finding your way back to your highest self, okay? And once you learn what that energy is and you know who you are, all of this other stuff does not even matter. All you have to do is clear your light body and confess the things that you've done wrong, and you are good to go for whatever, come what may. It doesn't matter. Wars can be going on. It doesn't matter who's doing what. At the end of the day, if your light body is ready for takeoff, then you are good. Every single thing that you see on the internet that's being pushed in terms of rage baiting of any kind, I don't care whether it's between the sexes or it's between races or it's for countries or you're a Republican or Democrat, is meant to anchor you in the flesh and to keep you from realizing your true self. Yes, you should be dancing. Yes, you should be singing. Yes, you should be happy. You should be having a grand old time, and you should be thankful that you live in a time such as this versus you concerning yourself with all of these flesh related matters. Oh, they're going to go to war. They're going to do this. So what? This is why in Revelations 12:17, you have this group of people that they're talking about keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Christ, which is the testimony of a Christ, telling you that you need to clear your light body in order for you to be prepared for this war. And they seek to make war with the remnant of these people because they are immortal. Because if you have a light body to clear and you can confess your sins or your syntax errors of your light body, then you will be cleared energetically for takeoff, meaning that when the solar flash happens, you won't have anything to worry about. This is why in Romans chapter 8 verse 13 it states, "For if ye live after the flesh, you shall die. But if you through the spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, you shall live." So this is basically talking about the difference between the flesh and the spirit or the soul, okay? And there are distinct differences here that are being delineated because the things of the flesh are of no concern to immortal beings. There's another text that says, "And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with their affections and lusts," meaning that you're not concerned. If you are a Christ that has Christ consciousness and you are fully awakened to the knowledge of self and know that you are an immortal light being, you should not be concerned with the flesh. You should mortify, which by definition, the definition of mortify means to cause someone to feel embarrassed, ashamed, or humiliated, or to subdue the body or its needs and desires by self-denial or discipline. So that means that you should be more concerned with nourishing your soul's energy and clearing your soul's energy and making sure that your soul's energy is high vibrating and making sure that you're cleared for this next solar flash that's going to happen, or this reset, and not be so concerned with things of the flesh and worrying about how this is going to get done, how that is going to get done. Everything should be centered around your immortality at this point, and how you're going to move beyond this point is by denying the flesh. So per usual, I hope you enjoyed this message, and put a comment down in the comments just to let me know what you think of this content overall. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, peace, love, and light.